we got in at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, so we gave them Sunday off. And then we're going to have a team meeting today, so I don't want to announce champions and players of the game because they're going to find out as a team today at 2:30. So incredible, one of the best I've ever been a part of. As far as come from behind against the team, we have a lot of respect for personnel we played against, was as good or better than we thought going into it. The coaching staff we coached against was as good or as better than we anticipated. Just the intricacies of some of the, I think there was about 4 new concepts they said our defense that we saw during the game that we had not, and we adjusted well in the second half. And then the same offensively, they just did their defense, they did a very good job coaching with very good personnel. Also a credit to their crowd. I thought that was one of the best environments that we've coached in. So we're going to move on with another tough task. A team that's 4-0 at home, and I call it the last 2 times. I should say the whiteouts for other games, but I guess that's usually for our game. But it's one of the top 5 atmospheres again in college football. So got to get them healthy, got to get them rested because another team with a bye week night game, and get them ready to go. But good momentum, and I think we're fairly healthy too. So I'll answer any questions for you.
Far left over there, Clark.
The second game in a row looked like the passing game had a square wheel. Have you been able to pinpoint some specific problems you can address?
Square wheel. Yeah, we just need to play a little better. We need to hit the one game was a little different. Indiana, we had some guys behind defenders. This one we did not beat the defenders. Very good secondary. In the second half, I do believe we made some plays, and some of them were broken or not broken. The scramble plays, which is part of the passing attack as well. So, yeah, we're working hard on it. We're not in, I would say, I've never heard square wheel. Take a little offense to that. The guys work harder on here for square wheel comment. But guys it's a work in progress with a bunch of young receivers that have to continue to work at it. But overall, the way we finished the game and good balance as far as offense, defense. I thought JT had 199 of his 318 total yards in the second half against a top 5 defense in the country. So just need to keep working.
Second row right, Ben.
Urban, I wanted to ask you about Dante Wilson. He had the big catch on Saturday.
Huge catch.
Yeah, came in with a lot of expectations. How would you describe the way his career's kind of gone here?
Well, it's a product. The poor guy's broke his foot at Michigan State in that big win we had 2 years ago. And those feet injuries, we're not the only program dealing with. When you break a foot, it's just tough, especially a skilled athlete. So it's been one of injury, and he's fighting like crazy. He's still not 100% now. He's still dealing with some, doesn't practice early in the week, and I just love his unselfish approach right now. And the fact he made a play to help us go win a game. He flipped the ball to the official, went back and almost made another great one to help us. So I like where he's at. And he's a team player that's doing the best he can.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, I remember several times when you've talked about JT and the competitive spirit, you've referenced that 2014 game at Penn State. I don't know if that means it was a turning point or just maybe when you really identified something special in him. What was it about that game that resonated with you?
Well, this is the only other one that's been like that I can recall that every indicator was up that we lost the game. At Penn State, the story was told that in that kind of environment, our quarterback was not playing well. We had a pick 6, I believe, in that game. And he also had a second-degree MCL sprain. And here we go. And we're going to go play overtime down in front of theirs, and we're 7 points behind. So the script was written. I remember just, what am I going to say to this team afterwards? It crossed my mind. And then he kind of just took it on his shoulders. And I get to see things that all fans do not get to see. I get to see about 6 inches from my face and see the intensity and the focus and the human spirit that is as good as I've ever been around.
If you had to pick, or maybe the way you think about that Penn State game, was Saturday on that same level or better? Or can you
same level. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about elite performance against that defense at Penn State that year was excellent too. The team we just faced. I don't know the ranking in Wisconsin. I remember looking at it before the game started. they played LSU, Michigan State, our rivals, and they played, and still to be ranked that highly in defense after those kind of teams are playing. Because usually, sometimes you play lesser teams early, and the stats get a little padded. But this team did really soft games, and they were, so that's how good their defense was. And after playing Wisconsin's defense, it's as good as we coached against.
And one more thing, is your head okay?
Yeah.
You got hit with by the ref on Saturday?
So I text I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I don't care. There should not have been a penalty for Bill Carolla. So, and he's barely grazed my headset. So, Stephen Schoen said, "Do you get hit in the face?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Oh, that." So it was my fault, but it should not have been a penalty, and we just got to do better jobs to that. And that broke my heart, but to put your players 15 yards, 15-yard penalty for that in a big game. And someone will say, "Well, that's just the rule. We'll get rid of the damn rule." That's not a good rule.
Have you had other 15-yard penalties before? That's your first one?
I had a 5-yarder in the SEC championship game. It was another.
Which one? Which one?
What's that?
Which SEC
None of your
championship?
business.
Do some research now.
Fourth row right. Nick?
When you look at JT's record, he can have 20 plus games here still left. Is it kind of crazy that he already has it at this point for coach?
It is. When someone made that comment about 3 weeks ago that he was real close, and I couldn't believe it because he's only been our starting quarterback for not like he's been a 4-year starter yet. I hope he is. But, no, I'm just very impressed with him, and that's why when I started hearing, "Well, you're passing him, we're okay. We're going to keep getting better at it." He's a very good passer. You're the #1 quarterback in the history of Ohio State University. You're doing okay.
And when you look at the way the schedule falls, getting back at 5 a.m., that's obviously tough on a routine. Is there anything that you do with 2 night games where you're going to have long trips like this, getting back way early in the morning, that you could
Well, we
do?
changed our whole schedule. We gave them Sunday off, and today they're coming in. We're going to have a team meeting, evaluate and get rid of all the film, and then they're going to go out and just do a quick 15-minute with Coach Beck and us. We're going to run them a little bit, get them out. We're going to keep the 2s and 3s out practice a little bit. But yeah, the fatigue is an issue. So and I talked to most of the guys already. They feel pretty good. So giving them the day off. Sundays are usually our work day. So we changed our schedule to answer your question.
Sorry about that, Coach. Front row middle, Dave?
You guys have been slow to start most games offensively. As you've studied the film, is there one thing that you've been able to pinpoint as the reason why you guys have started slow?
I really haven't thought about it. I think we started slow. The whole team was kind of slow this week. And a lot of it's who you play. So to answer your question, I haven't thought much about it.
And you mentioned the halftime adjustments. Obviously, they were very good. You guys dominated the third quarter. Can you give some insight into halftime adjustments? Is it very chaotic when maybe a team throws something at you?
Well, it is if you're, and that's why I think I talked to someone about this, that I came at halftime and it's 16-6, I believe, and we're not playing well. And I look in the locker room and they're ready to kind of go after everybody. And I see Coach Fickle has they use that projector and they're going through making adjustments. All the defense is sitting right in front of them. I'll go walk in the offense and get ready to implode a little bit, and they're in there just, I warn everybody's working like pros, working on things, and I said, the worst thing I could do is open my big mouth and get away with a bunch of people working their tails off, being professionals. So I didn't say a word. And the players kind of took over right before he went back out and played very well.
Front row right, Tim?
Yeah, Urban, in that regard, you guys are number 1 in the Big Ten in passing efficiency. So is that the indicator that things are working one way or the other? I mean, how do you
That's
look at that?
the one stat we use.
Yeah.
There's no one more than there's no one out there more than myself or certainly JT and the receivers that want to perform a little bit better. It's not. I would not consider us elite performers right now.
Yeah.
Once again, efficiency is what we look at, and that takes everything into consideration. We do not look at yards and number of throws. We look at efficiency, and the one bad play was the interception going in.
Yeah.
And that's what we look at. If we manage that one right, then probably score on that play.
There's one moment it rained all night. And Patrick, you're allowed to be in that where you were, aren't you, as the head coach, when you did get hit?
You have to stay off the white, and I
Okay.
think I had 1 foot on the white, and I was behind the ball though.
Okay.
So I was trying to stay, for that reason, stay behind the ball.
Yeah.
We all have to do a better job, and I'm not being critical, but 15 yards of that,
Plus, he kind of leaked back into you if you watch it.
thank you.
One other thing, obviously Penn State's changed some things offensively this year. What do you see defensively that is maybe different about them, or do you
Very
see
similar.
them?
They changed coordinators, but the coach who's running it now is on the staff, and very similar concept defensively.
Second row left.
Offensively is a lot different.
Yeah.
It's a completely different system. And I will say this about Penn State, it's a first-rounder tailback, and we believe this is as good a group of receivers as we've faced, not just this year, in a while. They have 3, I haven't studied them yet, but Greg Schiano and Kerry was saying this is by far one of the best groups we've faced in the last 2 years.
Second row left. Bill?
Urban, you've talked a lot about how good JT is, sort of getting positive yardage and is getting north of things break down, but against Wisconsin, it seemed like a couple of times when things broke down, he scrambled, but he kept his eyes downfield and made the throw to Dante and DeMarcus, and I think there was one in the end zone too. Just curious if that was something maybe you told him to do, or if that was him just...
That's him playing the game that he's good at. And there's times, there's also, right off the top of my head, there's about 3 or 4 where he put his foot in the ground and we got 6, 8 yards positive yardage when it was maybe not a great play selection or they defended it well. And that's what that's where I thought Wisconsin did a nice job, that we had some very set plays against them and they zoned us off instead of playing man like we expected, or playing man. It was just a chess match that they had some good calls there. And what happens when that happens, it happens all the time. The guy with the ball in his hand has to be creative, make a play. And JT's as good as anybody.
And then you just mentioned Penn State's running back. He almost put up 200 yards on you guys last year, and he gave up some big hits the other night. What needs to get better to shut down a running back like the one you're going to face this weekend?
I'm going to give you the coach speak answer. You got to tackle well, make sure your depth's sound, and you're certainly welcome to talk to Coach Fickle and Schiano about that. But that's number one on the hit parade as far as defending Penn State, to stop that. You won't stop them, but minimize the impact that running back has on us.
Far left. Matt?
Talk to us a lot about, off-field stuff that you guys do, whether it be with Coach Marotti or leadership training and things like that. I'm just wondering, a game like that on the road, how much of that extra stuff you do that has nothing to do with X's and O's of football matter?
Without sounding like we have the answers, because we certainly don't. But I remember when actually we were writing that book after the 2014 year, they kept saying, give us, what did you say to him at halftime? And everybody's looking for that, because there's a lot of movies out there where people give great halftime speeches, and that's not true. It doesn't matter what you say at halftime. It matters what you say and do January, February, March, April, May, June, July, because you train for those moments. It's kind of silly when you say, what did you do? I was a pregame speech coach. I don't know. They're certainly not listening for something where they're going to play harder because you said something. They play hard because of the training, power of the unit, and brotherhood of trust is why, in our opinion, the way we approach it, that's why they play so damn hard. And I'd be shocked if our players said anything other than that. The best I've seen is when Larry Johnson and his guys get together. That's a brotherhood now. That's why they play hard. And it wasn't something that was said at halftime. It's something that's been in progress for really since you walked around campus, but for this year after January.
Front row middle. Bill?
Oh, my ass, that's right. You won a very emotional game, a very hardest game you've played all year, but you also got outplayed for much of the game for the first time all year. How do you take both sides of that, or do you just say, okay, we won, learn from it, and move on? I mean, where is this team right now, do you think?
I think that's going to happen, and I'm kind of glad it did. Lou Holtz sent me a nice text. He studies everything we do, and you need to get hit right in the chops, and we did. Your statement's correct. They came out smoking now, and we had a hard time. I want to say it was 300. They had 300 yards, if I remember right, from first, and then. But that's a pride. Not every fight's going to be tilted one way, and you guys just watch Wisconsin play. We knew maybe someone in this room was shocked about the environment or the quality of player and the quality of team we're getting ready to play. I can assure you not one of our 70 guys was shocked. That's why you just got to hang in there and keep swinging as hard as you can. So your statement was correct. We did get outplayed. I wouldn't say we got out toughed. I wouldn't say it was not a 4-6. They did not 4-6 us or out effort us. They had some good stuff. Very good team, very good coaches, and you keep swinging. So as anguished as that was, much of a root canal as that was, until I'd much rather have it that way for that kind of game, for the development of your team.
I also want to ask you about Tyquan Lewis. He had the sack at the end of the game. He has been playing very
There's
well.
a little injury too going in. He got dinged a little bit in that game, but he's fine. But he came back. That's a testament to what was asked earlier.
What has he meant to you? I mean, last year he had some great, nice sacks or stats, partly because of both taking attention. This year he's had to be one of the main guys. How well has he played? What has he meant to the team?
I think you asked Larry about exactly how he played. He's played well, but he's the JT Barrett of our defense in respect. I mean, him and Raekwon, but I feel Tyquan constantly about energizing those around him. And the last play was a perfect example of what he did to create. He's the first one there. And that whole thing about when we needed you most, you played your best. You needed him at that point, he played his best.
And final questions, front row left, Doug.
Urban, this is kind of wrapping up everything you've talked about, but I think you're in your career here now. I think you're 4-0 in overtime. I think you're 12-2 in games decided by a touchdown or less. You've had some games where maybe you guys didn't play your best, but you still won. Why is Ohio State so hard to beat? Like, it's almost to the point, I think in the fan base at least, where if and when you guys ever lose, people are shocked. Why are you so hard to beat?
I think that's a great question, and once again, this has come off wrong sometimes, because we do not have the answer. We have very good players that get extremely close, and they will not let go of that rope. They will not stop fighting, and it's not because of halftime speeches. It's not because of lucky T-shirts. It's because of the program, the culture that's created. And that's why I give our 9 coaches and leaders our team more credit than not enough credit, because everybody that's how we're playing hard. Is it's within units. Small unit cohesion is something we call around here. Teams are too big. When you talk to this team, that guy doesn't really know that guy. But when you get into the small units, it's a little bit it's plagiarism from the United States military. That's how you get them to play really hard and fight really hard, is get really close within that unit. And that's, in my opinion, that's why we are in these situations.
And seeing what you did in overtime at Wisconsin, seeing the Penn State game 2 years ago, the way overtime is set up, it seems like you guys defensively, you're good in the red zone at keeping teams out of the end zone. You often force them to field goals, and offensively, you're good at getting in the end zone. Does overtime fit you guys because of the success you had?
I actually thought through that when we had the ball 40 seconds left and 2 timeouts, and that was part of the reasons why we did what we did. Is the defense is really good down there, and that was going through my mind and I felt like we could move the ball and get in. It's to start winging the ball around out that environment right now, and we were backed up into their student section. That's why, to answer your question, that's why we did what we did. Is a portion of the reason why we did what we did, as far as get the thing to overtime and go play. And that's kind of hoping to get away from that, and it worked out. We had the ball first, which is not the easiest thing, but I wanted to get the hell out of that area. Pretty tough down there.
So, I mean, nobody wants to go to overtime, but if you do, you like the chances.
Not a good way of saying it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.